Managing Ourselves in Self-Actualization, Part 2. We will discuss emotional intelligence, the head and the heart. Emotional intelligence involves our ability to monitor our own and others' emotions and to use this information to guide our thinking and behaviors. I know that at times I realize my own emotions, I come to the awareness of my own emotions, and such as being accepted by others or being recognized by others, and how these emotions are instantaneous or are just part of our makeup. And often we're not aware of them, but once we become aware of those emotions, we can then manage them better. It is, in a sense, the balance between the head and the heart, between our thinking and our feelings. So, for example, our values such as fidelity and marriage, friendship and trust emerge from the heart, from our emotions. So think about it. What really drives us for us to be a good husband or wife or to be good friends is really driven by love, not just by the head. Managing our emotions are critical to our well-being, personal growth in relationships, and accomplishments. We need to be true to our values, be resilient to cope with stress and anxiety and depression, and manage our attitudes about ourselves, which is really our self-esteem. Be grateful, managing our motivation to engage and to achieve our goals. Emotions play an important role in all of these areas. The first step is emotional self-awareness. This allows us to reason about how much emotions influence our decisions and behavior, which is what I'm going to talk about in this particular video. Reason and emotion, again, are like a subject-object relationship. They have giving and receiving. They reciprocally influence each other. I had to be aware of my own emotional desire for the approval of others before I could start managing my thinking and behaviors in this regard. Very often we have emotional baggage, and we bring that emotional baggage to our human interactions and the situations that we encounter in life, but we're not always aware of them. So this requires us to recognize which emotions we are feeling and their effect on us. Brings us enlightenment and freedom to be who we are. If we're not aware of our own emotional baggage, we are not free. We are still locked in our own prisons that we've created for ourselves. Our emotional responses result from the way we appraise our experiences. So our thinking brain plays the executive role over our emotions. And hopefully these videos will allow us to go through that process. But there are exceptions to this. And these exceptions are that our emotions also can take over. Let's look at anger. When someone hurts me by undermining what I'm trying to achieve or the goals that I have or what I want to achieve and the things that I cherish, I feel angry. I felt that, and you may feel that. Let's be honest. And sometimes when we feel angry, we feel like retaliating. However, after cooling down, for myself, I would recognize, would reconsider my response based on my values. So for example, empathy for others. Instead of retaliating against the person, I would feel, of course, I want to not retaliate because that would hurt that person. Of course, I would have to stand up for myself, which is actually a very important emotional intelligence. We have to be authentic about who we are with others, but not do so with the motivation to retaliate. This is emotional intelligence, being aware of one's emotions and behaving properly. Empathy, for example, as we just talked about, is the feeling that it's not fair to blame others without knowing their situation. Again, this involves a giving and receiving, a reciprocal relationship between reasoning and emotion. Let's have a look at this issue of mind and brain, mind and body. You see, the physical brain's chemistry also influences our emotions. This is part of our physical body. My boss once told me that everything looks darker when you're tired. And he suggested a good night's sleep and things would look brighter in the morning. Neuroscientists have found that sleep deprivation amplifies anxiety in the brain's regions associated with emotional processing. So this mind and body relationship, in this case, the relationship between our mind and our physical brain's chemistry, neurochemistry, influences how we behave. Let's think about a little activity we could do, and that is our own emotional self-awareness, and you can pair and share with someone. For example, describe the factors that influence your emotional responses. This could be empathy. Empathy influences how your thinking is, how you react, or your sense of justice or anger or stress. This is something that we can share with each other. What has finally emotional intelligence has taught us is that we need to relate to others and deal with daily events with the right balance between our point of view, that is our reasoning, and our attitudes, our emotions. Whether it's acting in a moral way towards others or choosing a lifelong partner, choosing a career, or dealing with our children, this is truly essential. Self-awareness of our values play an important role in managing our emotions. For me, the greatest emotional lesson has been to consider the needs and feelings of others when going about my life. That is, shifting the emotional focus from myself to others allowed me to understand others better and by consequent meet their needs. Therefore, I could truly begin to live for the sake of others. Truly living for the sake of others is emotional intelligence par excellence. It takes a while to realize this. It took me a while to realize that it's not about me, but others. This is the emotional intelligence that we require. Moral behavior in the end is an outcome of the relationship between our purpose and values, our reasoning and emotions. That is the outcome. Be yourself and allow people to be themselves is a great emotional lesson. Try to be honest with yourself and others and how you feel. This is something that we put aside very often. We don't really express our feeling honestly. We don't develop deeper relationships with people because we're just simply not authentic about how we feel. And we also need to let them express their feelings to us. Then you can move more freely to get in touch with and express your true feelings appropriately. Again, there's appropriately, between reason and emotion, and make better decisions. You can also listen to your negative emotions and understand what they're trying to tell you. You see, knowing ourselves is critical. Silencing your negative emotions or your problems don't make them go away. In fact, research shows that organizations that encourage people to be open and honest with their emotions perform better at collaboration and establishing stronger ties with colleagues. So be yourself and allow people to be themselves. Self-control is probably one of the key emotional intelligence. Dr. Goleman, who's the author of Emotional Intelligence, said that the two areas of emotional intelligence that are the most critical are empathy, which means considering others or love, and self-control. But we need self-control to be true to our values and control our impulses. Emotion self-control is using and in controlling our emotions in a positive way in all aspects of life, especially in our relationship with others. The second is select your battles. In trying to control your emotions, select your battles. Avoid circumstances that trigger unwanted emotions. For example, you can't change others. This is a hard concept to accept. Many times we go about in our lives and we think we're frustrated with others and we try and change them. You cannot do that. Was a hard lesson for me to learn as well. Some of us really try to do this. This is a space that triggers unwanted emotions. A third aspect of emotional control is to change your thoughts. Again, the interplay between thinking and feeling. Let's say that you feel inferior to the people around you, who always look greater and younger than you. So shifting your focus away from them onto your own great attributes and abilities will allow you to feel more confident about yourself. Just shifting that thinking. Emotions are beliefs in the end that drive our thinking at times. By changing our thoughts, you may be able to change the way you believe the situation is affecting you. The third is change your thoughts and discuss this with a friend. One approach is to discuss the issue with a trusted person in order to help you change the way you appraise the situation. This is known as cognitive behavioral therapy. The focus is on modifying dysfunctional thoughts, emotions, and behavior by interrogating and uprooting negative and irrational beliefs. I have done this many times with my wife. My wife would challenge my irrational beliefs. At first, I'd be a bit grumpy and wouldn't listen, but afterwards, I would see the wisdom. Do this with a friend. Do this with a close one. The third is change your thoughts. Don't be too quick to judge. Boy, that's an easy one. How often have I done this, judge someone without knowing? Ask yourself, what are you telling yourself that might result in anxiety, emotional upset? Am I confusing a thought with a fact? For example, I felt once I was at work and this particular lady didn't smile at me, and I thought I must have done something to offend her, or she doesn't like me anymore. It probably had nothing to do at all with me. She may have been struggling in her own life, so let us learn not to judge others too quickly. We never know what they are going through. How often I have done this. How often have I jumped to conclusions? But in the end, what effect is this having on me? The fourth is change your response. Get control of your responses. Your heart may be beating with a steady drum roll of unpleasant sensations when life makes you anxious and angry. Take a deep breath and perhaps close your eyes in order to calm yourself down. Teachers will often ask very young children to take time out from the others when they get all frustrated. The emotional mind is racing and it needs to calm down. It's never good to send an email to someone when you're racing with anger or frustration. Maybe it's better to wait 24 hours and send the email. In conclusion, this emotional self-awareness is very critical. When I became aware of my own desire for approval for others, I began to step away from myself. And when I would enter meetings or be in situations, I would consciously make the goal, the internal goal, and remind myself, John, this is not about you, but others. To step back and not to try and impress others or to be the one who's the sharer of all wisdom, the owner of all wisdom, but to simply be there and to listen to others. So how about you pair and share with someone and describe some of your own irrational beliefs, which have deep roots in our emotional experiences. I hope this was helpful to think about these things, and if you'd like to email me at johnb@cybervalues.org, that would be absolutely wonderful. And thank you very much for listening once again, and it is my hope that you can continue watching my videos.